We were just hearing Attorney General Loretta Lynch address reporters following a day in Orlando. This comes about 10 days since the horrific Orlando shooting. I want to bring in Paula Reid from our D.C. Bureau to have her weigh in on this. Paula, what sort of surprised you about this briefing?
Well, it didn't surprise me that we didn't get much of an update on the terrorism investigation that she's currently undertaking. But it was interesting. First of all, she came out in support of local law enforcement. She is, of course, the nation's top law enforcement official. And the police and local law enforcement have come under considerable scrutiny for how they responded to this incident. And then, Rita, we saw her shift the conversation, sort of try to make this pivot from terrorism to hate crime. And we saw her on Face the Nation on Sunday discuss this with John Dickerson. She said, in particular, they're looking into why Mateen targeted this place and this community. They have repeatedly said this is not only terrorism, it's also a hate crime. But it seems that she and the administration are trying to shift the conversation more to hate and not just terrorism.
And is there a reason, Paula, as to why there's such an emphasis more on the hate than the terrorism?
It's interesting because yesterday we saw with the redactions, there was such an outcry when they tried to take out his name and the terrorist organizations, plural, that inspired him. And there was such pushback saying, do you not want to admit that this was a terrorist act? So it's interesting that once again, she's trying to make this pivot. I will say that in her career, the Attorney General has tried very hard for the LGBT community to protect their rights and the rights of other minority groups here. I think she wants to make sure that that community does not get lost in the conversation. However, there's another side to that where people will point out that there's no mention of that community in the transcripts. We have no evidence that Mateen targeted that club and that particular community. However, we do know that he was trying to carry out a terrorist attack.
And what do we know more, Paula, about where this investigation goes now?
Even though the Attorney General would not confirm the grand jury, sources have confirmed to us that prosecutors in Florida have brought this investigation before a grand jury. Now, what that means is that they go to this grand jury to help them get subpoenas for different people they want to interview, different evidence that they need. It's sort of a rubber stamp for their investigation to help move things along. They are looking at the wife. They're looking at other family members. They want to know who, if anyone, knew of this plot, anyone who provided support, either financial or planning for this attack. The investigation continues. I'm told there are no arrests that are imminent, but a grand jury is absolutely being used to move this very important investigation along.
And so much focus, Paula, has been on the wife. We didn't really hear her address the wife, did we?
No, the Attorney General is always very careful not to discuss ongoing investigations. They've been very careful, too. They don't want to make it out like she will be charged or that the grand jury is for her. And that is true. The grand jury is for the overall investigation. It is not just for the wife. Many people expect her to be charged. We have to remember the wife of one of the Boston bombers was also expected to be charged and never was. So we really do have to wait, see the evidence that they get. They need to evaluate the statements that they've gotten from her. Are they true? Are they supported by evidence? And will they ultimately support criminal charges? We just don't know at this point.
Paula Reid from our Washington Bureau, who covers the Department of Justice. Thanks, Paula.